Good evening and welcome to Tuesday Folk People. My name is Maddie Leadham, and this evening we are going to be talking to the warm and wonderful trio, the Lost Trades. A newly formed group made up of professional musicians and singer-songwriters Tamsin Quin, Jamie Hawkins and Phil Cooper, the trio have managed to achieve so much in their 3 years as a group, despite the setback of the pandemic. For example, last month the trio released their debut album, The Bird, the Book and the Barrel, which made it to the top 40 official album folk charts and has been extremely popular with their devoted fan base. With close-knit harmonies and an array of instruments, we are going to witness some of the trio's original songs, along with some fascinating conversation. A tale of endurance, friendship and great music. Let's welcome the Lost Trades to the online studio. Welcome! Hello! Phil, Tamsin and Jamie. Nice to have you. Thanks very much for joining us. I'm really pleased. Are you in Wiltshire at the moment? Have I got that right?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, well, I wanted to start with a little question just to get things rolling. And I really wanted just for you to explain why you're called the Lost Trades.
Over to you, Jamie.
Well,
It's Jamie's idea.
Yeah, kind of my idea, I suppose. Yeah, all my idea. It's loosely based around our surnames. So Phil is Phil Cooper, and Cooper was a barrel maker, and that's a kind of a dying out trade. So yeah, the fact that there are these all trades that were kind of are dying out. I'm Hawkins, which is like a falconry kind of connections. And that's more of a sport now than it is really a trade. And Tamsin Quin, we looked up the word Quin, and it's a Gaelic word for wise leader. And as Phil's so fond of saying, there's not many of those around anymore either. So hence the Lost Trades.
Amazing. Okay, that makes so much sense. And what a good idea for a name. That is so good. So we're going to have your first song, just to hear a bit of your music. And this one is Wait for My Boat. What is this song about?
This is sort of I said love song, really. It's probably the most traditionally folk kind of thing that we do. And yeah, it's a sort of a love song about a sailor who's gone off on his travels. And he's coming back home and hoping that his lovely lady is waiting for him.
That's very folk.
There's a hole in my pocket, no tread on my shoes, and my coat is all crumpled and thin. But I'll buy you a dress all in ribbons and bows, just as soon as my boat cruises in. Tomorrow's approaching, I'm dead on my feet, and the wind cuts me right to the bone. But maybe the morning brings luck on its tide, and I won't spend tonight on my own. And you wait for my boat to come home. Wait for my boat to come home. Won't you wait for my boat to come home? Well, my travels have taken me all around the world. Won't you wait for my boat to come home? Don't forsake me, don't go without man, don't believe what he promises you. He won't love you the way that I do. So won't you wait for my boat to come through? Wait for my boat to come through. Won't you wait for my boat to come through? Troubles have taken me all around the world. Won't you wait for my boat to come through? feet as I push through the wind and the rain. Now the tide is against me in more ways than one, but I hope against hope all the same. There's a hole in my pocket, no tread on my shoes, and my coat is all crumpled and thin. But it seems that at last I've got luck on my side, 'cause you're there on the shores of Doolin, as you wait for my boat to come in. Wait for my boat to come in. Won't you wait for my boat to come in? Well, my troubles have taken me all around the world. Won't you wait for my boat to come in? Wait for my boat to come. Wait for my boat to come in. Wait for my boat to come in. Well, my troubles have taken me all around the world. Won't you wait for my boat to come in? Wait for my boat to come. Wait for my boat to come in. Wait for my boat to come in. Well, my troubles have taken me all around the world. Won't you wait for my boat to come in?
That was absolutely brilliant. What a lovely melody and lyrics and harmonies. It's like a triple whammy all in one go. It's just
Thank you.
really, really nice. But I wanted to ask, there's the beginning, it says there's a hole in my pocket. Now, is this just me, or was it a deliberate choice to say that to be similar to there's a hole in my bucket, dear Liza? That's what I immediately thought.
Oh, I see. Right, yeah, I see. Yeah. Well, now that you said that I'm never going to unhear it. So thank you so much for that.
Okay, so it wasn't.
Have you never noticed that before?
No, I haven't made that connection before. No, I had no idea. I plagiarised such an old folk song.
Well, not quite, because it's so short. It's only that there's a hole. But to be honest, you could say it's a deliberate choice. You could say that because that's a nursery rhyme that's sung by everyone. You were just making it folky, because folk songs are sung by everyone.
I guess we could say that.
Yeah, good choice. No, it's brilliant. So you said that this is the only one that you've really got that sounds, or the most traditional sounding one. So what is your style if not traditional folk?
I guess it kind of leans more into the kind of 60s, 70s style of folk with the kind of Laurel Canyon, East Coast stuff. We're heavily inspired by Crosby, Stills and Nash and Fleetwood Mac. Tamsin, massive Fleetwood Mac fan. So yeah, that's where the harmony thing comes from, I guess. So yeah, I guess
kind of like modern folk with like a Laurel Canyon twist, I guess.
Lovely, really nice, because I love the fact that the folk scene encompasses such old music but also new music. It's just so big, and so that's the great thing about exploring every artist, is that everyone always has something different. But speaking of different, you guys are all originally, just for our audience, you're all originally soloists, aren't you? You've got different solo careers. And what kind of styles do you usually look at individually, each of you? If we start with Phil.
Well, I guess I'm a little more kind of indie. I'm not quite so folky in my solo stuff. I was a child of the 90s, so I'm kind of influenced by the kind of indie rock of the time, really. So that's my leanings.
I guess mine is, my solo stuff is a bit more kind of folk blues, I guess, in that, I don't know, singer-songwriter.
There's a little bit of Americana in there as well.
Yeah, and I think I was sort of brought up on like sort of folk such as like sort of Roy Harper and things like that. So it's sort of not traditional folk, but that kind of like 70s kind of folk music.
I think your stuff is probably closer to what we do as a group than either of ours. It's not the same, but it's closer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose mine would be a kind of poppy folk, maybe with a little tiny hint of country here and there, possibly. I don't know. Yeah, something like that.
It's hard to describe yourself, isn't it? You should describe each
some
other.
weird love child from various genres together and created my sound. I have no responsibility for it whatsoever.
Well, I was going to say, how do you then make all of these sounds work in the Lost Trades as a band?
We don't know. It's a bit weird.
It just kind of worked out.
Yeah,
we try not to think about it. Yeah, we destroy the magic.
It's some kind of alchemy that we genuinely don't really understand ourselves.
It's quite nice though, because like we were saying, we all have quite different styles individually, and so when we write for the band now, it's quite different to writing solo stuff, isn't it? Yeah. So it's kind of changed the way that we write a little bit.
Yeah.
I think we all have quite broad tastes in music in general, so we all appreciate each other's sort of influences as well as our own.
And we also fans of each other's music. You know, we all like each other's music. You know, and so whatever we put in of our own kind of influences, you know, it kind of just works somehow. You know,
everything's done with love, isn't it?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
So delving more into the songwriting process, how does that then work? Is it like you each individually will write a song and then the others input? What's the process really there?
Kind of seems to be that way. I mean, especially at the beginning, because when we first got together, obviously we needed material to work with, so we all kind of went through our back catalogues and dug out old songs that we'd not really done anything with and kind of ripped them apart together a little bit, you know, and kind of did it that way. So we do kind of bring a half finished or a finished song to the table, and then the others kind of chip in.
Sometimes you think it's finished, and then you bring it to the band and you find out it wasn't finished.
It's strange, but yeah, that's generally sort of how we do it, you know. But yeah, we're open to new ways of writing together and kind of exploring new approaches.
We're sort of planning to try a few different approaches for the next album. Actually, just sort of try and lean on each other's strengths, really, because we all know what each other's strengths are. And so if say I want to write a story song, I know Jamie's really good at telling stories with his lyrics, so I'll kind of utilize that, and so, you know, I'm looking forward to that process actually.
Fantastic. Yep. Is that ever a challenge then, taking your song and getting other people to do stuff to it? Do you ever feel like, oh no, this is my baby, stop messing with it?
It was like that at first.
But I think we kind of grow. I think we very quickly learned to trust each other, and I especially remember feeling quite protective over the ones that I put into the band, and but then you quickly realise that whatever these guys do to it, you go, okay, they're actually improving it quite a lot, and you start trusting, and then that's when like the real magic happens, isn't it?
I remember you told me just a few weeks ago that you'd listened to one of your early demos and you were like, why did I write it like that?
It sounded very different now.
It was a little bit painful, I guess, to begin with at first. It is hard to kind of do that, but we very quickly learned how to do it well and how to let these things go, because we knew, you know, we do everything we say to each other, you know, it's like Phil says, you know, it's all out of love, you know, and you know, whoever kind of brought the song to the table kind of gets the final say anyway, so there's always kind of that, you know.
And we've been friends for quite a while, so I think we have like a mutual respect for each other, and it's kind of like that's kind of what the process is based on, is like respect and just saying things from the heart, truthfully, without any spite.
That's it. We can be totally honest with each other and know that even if you do upset someone, it's only going to be for maybe 5 minutes.
And then you make a cup of tea and it's all fine again.
Band life. So what are the advantages, do you think, of being in a band compared to being a soloist, seeing as you've all experienced both?
Well, for me, it's the companionship for sure. You know, I did a solo gig the other night, actually, for the first time in a long time, and it just struck me, you know, just how different it was. You know, because I've been playing with these guys, you know, for the last, you know, couple of years, really, on and off, you know, with the COVID situation. And so doing it on my own again was I just felt lonely, you know. I felt like I had no one to bounce off, you know. There was no harmonies, you know. It's all kind of, you know, that's how it is for me anyway.
I think I think that's one side of it, but career wise, I think also it makes us stand out a bit more when we're not just another singer songwriter. So being as a trio makes us stronger in that sense, musically, as well as just making us stand out. You know, with the way that we look as a brand, and if we could say that, everyone hates the brand, but you know, it's like it just makes you stand out from the crowd a bit more, because especially with the 3-part harmony, we're not just like another solo musician. We're like we're powerful.
We're all quite confident that individually we're pretty good. I can say that, I think. But there's millions of very good singer-songwriters out there. So you're competing with a lot of other people for listeners' attention. There's not quite so many 3-piece harmony bands out there.
Yeah, excellent. And I was wondering how you kind of juggle your time being a soloist and being a band member. Is that something that you've managed to get, or is it either or for the time being?
I think we said quite early on when we first started that we were going to commit to putting the band first, at least for like the first few years, to see how far we could get. So we've all kind of so the band comes first before like our solo stuff. But it's quite fun to still do a bit of solo stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Phil, during lockdown, Phil wrote a solo album, so you know, Phil hasn't stopped. Phil never stops, ever.
So it seems like it's just you, Jamie, who gets really lonely.
I do.
Just to put that in context, I do basically live in a studio. So.
Oh, lucky. Nice. Okay, yeah, you got to make use of that. That would be a waste if you didn't. Okay, so before we have our second song, I just wanted to ask, how do each of your individual fan bases react to the band?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah. We had an amazing reaction, didn't we?
Yeah.
Which was lovely. And it's kind of been a really great crossover. A lot of people that knew us from the local scene, because we gigged individually on the same scene for so long. So a lot of people knew all three of us, but would maybe perhaps follow one of us a bit more closely, you know, and then when we joined together, suddenly we got this huge like ball of momentum behind us that everyone was like, whoa, everyone was just so excited, and that made us even more excited.
Everyone jumped on board really quickly, didn't they?
Yeah, it was amazing, and everyone was like, oh, about bloody time.
Yeah, we did get that kind of, oh well, yeah, I wondered how long it would take.
But there were also a few people that said, "Oh, you won't stop doing your solo stuff, will you? Because you need to keep doing that."
And
now Phil said the other day, have you noticed that those same people that said that, they don't actually ask how your solo stuff's doing anymore? They just want to know about the Lost Trades.
Oh, fantastic! No, that's good news, because obviously your fan base is the majority of like what you're doing for, obviously for yourself, but to have that support. And so if you'd lost it, that would have been terrible, but it just helps you, spurs you along, doesn't it? Okay, so second song, which is Road of Solid Gold. What is this song about?
So this song's about really, I guess, another love story, but it's about a traveller who
it's a bit darker as a love story.
Yeah. The traveller character kind of chooses the road over a relationship with, you know, another person, because the road is just too tempting to keep them away from, you know, actually committing to a relationship. So it's about being a free spirit and just traveling, and I don't know.
Yeah, we should probably mention actually that on the album recording of this, we have a guest fiddle player, which is Peter Knight of Steel Eye Span and Gig Spanner. I met him several years ago when I was stage managing at a folk festival, and sort of kept in touch. And yeah, when we needed a fiddle player, I couldn't think of anyone better to ask, and luckily he agreed.
Wow.
There's a man with fire in his eyes, a rare sight seldom seen. Always wandering feet keep on moving away from mediocrity. And he said, I never stay long in same old places. They're always getting me down. But for a while now I might just chance it if you'd like to keep me around. He likes to visit in the dead of night. He likes to leave before the sun. Bags packed and strapped to his motorbike. Just one more kiss and then he's gone. And he said, I never stay long, but I would like it if I saw more of your face. But I won't hold him to his airs and graces. I know his feet will find a way. It's a long way to go when you travel alone. But the long winding road, it's solid gold. Solid gold. He talks about when he'll settle down, maybe a house in a small Welsh town, but with 40 years in his furrowed brow, I see no sign of any roots. And he said, I'd like to stay longer, but I can't help it if my feet go wandering instead. And I feel better with the past behind me and the horizon ahead. It's a long way to go when you travel alone. But the long winding road, it's solid gold. Solid gold. Solid, solid, solid gold. Solid gold. It's a long way to go when you travel alone. But the long winding road is solid gold. Solid gold. Solid gold. Solid gold.
Absolutely brilliant. It seems really appropriate to have that song sung in a camper van or in a van. It just feels like you're on the road and you're singing it. So you got the setting to a T there. It's really, really good. So which one of you wrote that one? Was it you, Tamsin?
Yeah.
Okay, and then who wrote the first one?
That's me.
So have we got? Is the final one from you, Phil? So we've got one of each of you. So we're getting all of your styles.
Yeah. We planned in advance.
Very nice, clever. Tamsin, you've said before that when you were writing this, you had a different idea of what it would sound like, and then am I right in saying that you then brought it and Jamie and Phil did something completely different? Is that right?
Yeah. So I'd written it with the band in mind, and I had these harmonies planned in my head of what was going to happen. And I was like, guys, listen to this, and like I was playing the song that I'd recorded on my phone, and then like I had this harmony line. I was like, I thought maybe you guys could do this, and they were like, yeah, okay. And then Jamie was like, well, actually, I think maybe we should do it this way around with the harmonies, and I was going, I don't know, because I got so excited about it in my head because I'm quite new to harmonies, so it was like a really exciting thing that I'd figured out, apart by myself, and I was like, this is gonna be great. And then these guys were like, how about we do it like this? And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Take advice from the pros. And then we did it, and it was just it really blew me away actually, the end result. So I'm really happy with that.
Oh, it's brilliant. And the other thing that's a bit unexpected about it is if you watch your official version, it's the music video. Now it's not like a normal music video where you get people singing to a camera, is it? Can you explain that for our audience, what they would see if they searched it?
It's an animated video. It's a 4-minute animated short movie in some ways, I guess. And it's basically a story of someone robbing a bank at the beginning, and there's police chase scenes and all sorts of stuff. I don't want to give too much away if you haven't seen it, because there's a twist. Oh, I've given that away now. There's a twist.
Spoiler alert.
It's an animated music video. We thought we'd do something a little bit different, and we only actually appear in the video in tiny little cameo roles, like twice in the video, throughout the video. So you don't really see very much of us at all.
Amazing.
In fact, I think Peter appears more than we do.
I think he does.
But Jamie actually created the video himself during lockdown. Obviously, we all had to sort of diversify, didn't we? And because we couldn't get out and gig, and Jamie started his own video business, didn't you? And it's like, is it the first animation one you've done? And how long did it take you?
177 hours in total. It took me to make it all together. There's lots of cutting out lots of things and doing stop motion stuff. It's a
good way to keep you occupied.
It very much kept me occupied. It kept me awake at night. Yeah.
Well, hence it was worth it.
I'm pleased.
The video we released after was like a bit more simple, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You were like, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah, well, I've done that now. That's my bucket list sorted. I don't need to do another one of those ever again.
Well, one thing that the band, it just seems to epitomise the band, whether it's deliberate or not, is this kind of, you've got like a warmth and this sense of not taking things too seriously. You're almost just kind of easygoing band. Is this something that you've done deliberately, or do you take a lot of work to get this kind of atmosphere?
I don't think we have any choice, do we? I think it's just who we are as people, really.
I think like all of us, from like watching you guys doing your solo thing, and from the sort of feedback from people that have watched me play, we all have individually grown a fan base from the bottom upwards, and you kind of like you develop these relationships with your fans that are really quite personal, and I think when we came together as a band, it got quite like we managed to keep that intimacy with our fans, even though our fan base has grown quite a lot bigger than when we were solo.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's been really lovely, and what you see is what you get with us. We are like this, like all the time. So
does
it's
it
quite
help
nice to
you
be ourselves.
or hinder you having this?
I don't think it hinders us at all.
No.
I mean, despite seeming laid back and chilled and kind of not taking things seriously. You know, we do. We are focused and we are driven. You know, we kind of know what we want, where we want to be with this, don't we? You know, so you know we're quite right on it like that. But at the same time, because we're such good friends, it kind of takes the edge off of that a little bit. You know, so you know when things, you know, if things become a little bit stressful in any situation, you know, it's kind of like it doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, so it's all good.
I think we've always said, Fred, the friendship comes first.
Yeah.
You know, that's more important than anything else, and then the band.
Yeah.
So
we'd never let like the band like ruin our friendship. You know, if it came down to like band or friends.
Well, we made sort of decisions right at the very beginning to split everything evenly and you know make sure that the friendship was protected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even down to like songwriting credits, it's all split like completely. Even if one of us wrote the bones of the song, all the credits are done like completely equally across the board. So works well like that.
Fantastic. And in the whole, if you look at this kind of character that you just have and you ooze as a band, do you think that in the wider context of the genre of folk, is that something that is quite appropriate and fits in your opinion? Sorry if it's a weird question, but
do you know what, one of the things like I said, I'm more of a rocker. I'm more from like going back in my history, and I came to folk music quite late. But one of the things that struck me was that the folk festivals and folk clubs that I went to, they were very inviting, and you know, everyone was kind of looking out for each other, and you know, no matter what level of skill you were at, you were being supported. So I think the kind of friendliness, that to me is what I've seen in the folk world.
Yeah, and same for me. Like going to a folk club, even when I first started out solo, I loved like the feel of going to a folk club and not feeling judged. It was just like people just welcome you in, and they're just genuinely interested in what you're playing, even if like at the time I just started and I wasn't that good, and they were genuinely like, oh, that's really lovely, you know, and give you like feedback and sort of take you under their wing a little bit when you're new. So I think like I like the fact that like we are sort of energy kind of fits in that quite well, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think that, I don't know, maybe I'm going a bit over the top, but you could describe yourselves as like a microcosm of the folk scene. So you're very accepting of each other, you jump onto each other's music and you help it out, and it's just this community feel, and the way that you are with your fans, it kind of just does represent what the folk scene is, because it's a very welcoming genre.
That's going on our next poster, by the way. A microcosm of the folk world.
Good. Okay, another thing that's quite characteristic of you as a band are the harmonies. We've mentioned them quite a bit. Do you find that that's quite a challenge to get those harmonies to fit so well, as we've seen in the first two songs?
I think
sometimes.
Yes, it's weird, isn't it? Some songs it will take us ages, and you know, there'll be various points where one of us will get frustrated because we can't quite get this elusive harmony. But then it comes together. Well, and there's me too, and Phil, you know, and it happens all the time. You know,
I distinctly remember having a breakdown about one particular song.
but then you do another song like Oaks, for instance. You know, when Tam brought Oaks to the table, you know, and she just played it through. We had the lyrics there, and just played it through again, and we just came in with these harmonies pretty much straight away, didn't we?
Like,
you know, it was like the whole thing, you know, boosh like that, and it was that was a nice moment. So it's often like that, and it's often the other way. You know, it just really depends on how awkward people's songwriting is.
Yeah, Phil.
Uh-oh. And
Stop writing interesting songs.
I'm a big fan of my jazz chords, which can make finding the harmonies a little more difficult, I think.
But it is fun to sit and work that out, even though it can get, like, for me as like someone's new to harmonies, I find it can get frustrating, but it's also really rewarding when you get it. And it's really nice because like if the guys see me getting frustrated or vice versa, everyone like helps each other out. So it's like, don't worry, just try this, or maybe you sing this line and I'll try this.
Or even just like, let's have a break and come back to it.
Have
a cup of tea.
Have a cup of tea.
So do you tend to move around the harmonies, or do you stick to one particular place? Like, is someone always in the top harmony, or does it just alternate?
No, we switch around a lot.
Sometimes Phil will do the bottom harmony and I'll do the one above, and
sometimes we cross over.
And I mean, in the Road of Solid Gold, I was doing the high falsetto one.
Yeah, and I'm doing quite the low bit actually. And there's one song, Distance, where you're doing like the low one and I'm doing the high one, and then in the chorus like we swap, and it's really nice, and it keeps it interesting for us as well, because it's just fun to play around vocally, isn't it? So
And how does it feel when you get it right? And you know, I like, to me, I just love that feeling when everybody's got the note exactly and it just fills the room. But what is that feeling like for you guys?
It feels like flying. To me, that's how it feels. It feels like flying.
There's definitely been tears, like when you bring a song to the table and then you're singing it, and quite often I'll have my eyes closed and I'll hear these guys singing it with me, and I'll go, and it can make you well up because you're like, oh my gosh, it sounds so beautiful, like, because like all of a sudden these harmonies are actually like, it creates one whole voice,
and you're connected with two other people in a way that, you know, not everyone can do. You know, and it's a real special thing, isn't it? It's,
every single time that we've brought a new song to the table, and we get those harmonies spot on, it feels like the first time. It feels like that very first song that we harmonised on.
You're right.
Every new song, it feels exactly like that first song.
Oh no, I know exactly what you mean. It sounds like we're exaggerating. To anyone that doesn't know, it does sound like an exaggeration of how amazing it feels, but it is. It's just like, I don't know. It's like you said, one voice, and you're connected, and it is incredible. You said that first song. What was the first song you ever harmonised with?
It was actually Cat Stevens' Moonshadow.
Ah, nice. I don't know why, but for some reason I thought it was Down to the River to Pray. Was that one of the first?
We did learn that one fairly. We're all big fans of the film Oh Brother Where Art Thou, and so we all knew that song. And when we were looking at, you know, songs we could do quite early on before we had too many songs, that one came up pretty quickly, didn't it?
We were looking for an a cappella, and that one just popped, straight away popped up. Let's do that.
Yeah, well, we've got a little clip of it that I thought we could show everyone just to really hear the raw harmonies, because you've done it in the most amazing acoustic place to get that feeling as well. So we'll play that now.
As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, mothers, let's go down. Come on down, don't you wanna go down? Come on, mothers, let's go down, down in the river to pray.
Now, I wonder if any of our audience cried to that. I was sad to see none of you cried when you hit the harmonies. I was just watching, waiting. Okay, so now I would quite like to talk about potentially a record for the shortest tour in history. Your one-day sellout tour.
It was a sellout tour. It was a sellout tour, to be fair.
It was our debut sellout tour.
Yeah, so really sad. So for context, for our audience to know that you just began your tour, you sold out your first thing, and then COVID hit, and you couldn't do it, which is just absolutely gutting. But what I want to know is, that's such a setback as a band to go for, like, you've got that excitement and then immediately it's just like, nah, sorry, nothing. How did you maintain the momentum to get to where you are today?
Oh, well, I mean, let's be honest, it was a big punch in the gut. First of all, for a good few days, I think we were all pretty down about it. And I've got probably the more analytical head out of the three of us. And I was kind of like, no, we can't drop this. So I immediately said to the guys, let's start making an album. So we've got this kind of momentum behind us. We've polished these songs to within an inch of their lives. We should take them into the studio right now while we've got them polished. But then, of course, we couldn't do that either because lockdown happened and we weren't allowed to be in the same room as each other.
So we used to have like Zoom meetings like in our own homes and just like basically just a chat, like because we miss each other so much. We're like, because you can't really like rehearse over Zoom because of the lag and stuff. So it was just like to chat and talk about like when lockdown was over, maybe just have a drink together or something like that.
But what we did do fairly early on, I think before I'd seen anyone else do it, and I'm not taking credit for it, but I hadn't seen anyone else do it, was we kind of all recorded ourselves doing our parts and edited them together. And we did a live stream of these songs that we'd kind of recorded in our own homes, edited together. And then we had a camera on us on a Zoom call. So in between the songs, we were speaking live to our audience, and then we'd play this pre-recorded version of us in our homes.
Yeah, which we did on like a green screen. So I was living in like a tiny little flat.
That was the second one. Green screen.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we
that was great.
The first time we did was like split screens, which you kind of see quite a lot of. And then the second time, because suddenly everyone was doing that, we've got to make it a little bit different. So we got a green screen and we superimposed ourselves onto a stage, so it looked like we were actually on stage.
Wow. That was really funny.
It's just full of clever ideas. It's just brilliant. But I mean, you heard it here first. The Lost Trades pioneered the Zoom movement. Yeah, you should have taken some rights out of that. You would have been absolutely loaded by now if you'd done that. Fantastic. But it was still, you managed to get your album out. Was it June this year?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, June this year. So once things started to relax a little, and we followed kind of the Musicians Union guidance a lot, and we ended up, although I have my home studio, I of course don't have the insurance, I don't have the risk assessments, all that kind of stuff. So we actually went to a local studio to finish recording it. We're really proud of it, aren't we? And actually having that delay meant that we could write some songs that we didn't originally have. So there's some newer songs on the album which wouldn't have been on there otherwise.
Yeah.
So and those songs are kind of quite relevant to the story of the album as well. If you think about it, like Your Winning Days. Yeah. That was a bad period where we were getting low because of the COVID situation, not being able to play and stuff, and then Phil wrote a song that was like, come on guys, this isn't the end, just keep going forward, and it's a beautiful song. It made us all cry, didn't it? But that song wouldn't have come out, wouldn't have come about, if the whole pandemic thing hadn't happened, and so some of the songs on the album are actually part of the story of the album, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's quite nice having the different sort of ways of looking at recording, because as Phil said, we'd like a lot of the songs we'd polished ready for live shows, and we'd performed most of them live to audiences, but the ones that came later on when we were in lockdown, we were figuring those out in the studio. So it was nice to see the approach from both sides, like from the live side but also from the studio side as well.
So all in all, it was a horrible thing that happened, but it actually helped the band evolve to get to where you are today. So it's just every cloud has that silver lining.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably, again, one of the things that defines us as a band is that we don't get knocked down. We refuse.
Well, we get knocked down,
but we
get up again.
You're never going to keep me down. We wrote that.
Fantastic. Now, I'm really sorry to say, but we are running low on time. And there was one thing that I wanted to end with today. It's a bit of a topic change, but I think it's very relevant for the folk scene currently. Now, the last time when we had a chat before this interview, Tamsin, I think you mentioned that, I think it was the Czech Republic, that there's a very amazing folk scene there or something. Could you just explain it to our audience? Because I'm not 100% sure.
So it was a friend of mine actually that visited, and he came back and he said that every town in the Czech Republic has their own folk club, which people go to every week or something, and they meet up and bring all the kids along and they sing all these songs, and then like once a year all the towns come together and they do this big like sort of festival with each town band playing. And it sounds, just the community side of that really appealed to me, and I really like the idea of like the whole family gathering once a week, going down the local pub and just having that lovely community spirit with music involved.
Now, you asked me, after you told me that story, you asked me why I think we don't have that in the UK, and I'm now throwing this back at you guys, and I want to know why why do you think that we're lacking this, and principally among younger people in the UK, this kind of community?
Two words: X Factor. No, ignore me. Sorry.
Do you know what I have actually thought, not specifically about this question, but I think we're a bit spoiled in this country musically. I think we, for certainly since the sort of 50s, 60s, we've had such a healthy music scene and so many amazing acts come out that I think we are a bit spoiled. So that would be one theory of mine.
I think folk clubs are like, we kind of just need to change the culture of like on the way that young people think about folk clubs, because like people think I think they sort of stereotype it and think, oh, it's going to be some like fuddy-duddy like tradition. I think a lot of people see that traditional folk and they don't understand that actually there's like modern folk, and there's like it's not all like kumbaya. It's like there's some really great stuff out there, and I think a lot of people don't realize that some of the music they probably listen to is actually folk music or a variation of. So they might go, oh, I hate folk music, but actually like they probably are listening to it on a daily basis without even realizing.
It's very similar with the country music scene. I was years ago, I was in a country music band with my brothers, and we used to find exactly the same thing. There's a kind of stigma attached to certain genres of music. With country music, it was like yeehaw and all that stuff, and this cowboy hats and cowboy boots, and that's not what the country music's about. It's not about that. But that's the kind of image that people have of it, and I guess it's maybe a similar thing with the folk. I mean, not to everyone, but
no. And I think like the more it is getting trendier, I think, and I think is trendier a trendy word? I don't think it is. I'm old. But I think like people are opening up to, you've got people like Ben Howard, for example, who's like he's not classic folk, but it's on that sort of border, and because that's opening it up to younger people because he's like cool, and so I think it's just really getting more people involved and hopefully just showing I just want to like take a group of kids to like a folk club and get them drunk on cider, and I'll be like, see, it's cool, it's fun.
Right, don't use that.
I mean like kids as in like teenagers, over 18.
The cool kids. Yeah. I know what you mean.
Because I think if they experienced it once or twice, they'd be like, oh yeah, you know what, this is actually really fun.
Yeah.
It's just showing them that it's there.
Yeah. Oh, very interesting. I think that's quite an interesting thing to talk about, because obviously I think the biggest issue that the folk scene faces today is the lack of young people, and so to be able to have insight from people who experience it every day, who are actually there firsthand, it's brilliant. Sadly, yes, we are out of time, so it's time for the final song. Before you tell me about this, I just want to say thank you so much for talking to me today. It's just been brilliant and just really lovely.
Thank you for inviting us.
Absolute pleasure. And I would implore all of our audience to check out your other stuff, your music videos, because it's not just the music, it's the videos too. It's just the whole package. So this final song, it's by Phil and it's called Robots. What's this one about?
It's basically about artificial intelligence and kind of it's taking over the world, basically. So yeah, things like self-checkouts and things and jobs being taken away by machinery, which is nothing new. As the song says, this happened 250 years ago with the Industrial Revolution. But we need to adjust somehow. That's basically what it's about.
Every generation has a different hill to climb, and nothing lasts forever, thanks to Mother Earth and Father Time. But if you wind the clock back 250 years, you'll see the same old battles, you'll see the same old fears. And when the robots rule the world, there won't be anything left for you. When the robots rule the world, there won't be anything left for you. What do you think will happen to the money that they save by giving all the work to the technological slave? The gap will just get wider, though they say it will trickle down. But I don't see too much water on this side of the town. And when the robots rule the world, there won't be anything left for you. When the robots rule the world, there won't be anything left for you. You can't hold back the tide. You can't hold back the tide. But you can't run and hide. So keep hold of your pride. When robots rule the world, when robots rule the world, when the robots rule the world, there won't be anything left for you. When the robots rule the world, there won't be anything left for you. When the robots rule the world, there won't be anything left for you. When the robots rule the world, there won't be anything left for you.
Thank you very much for watching. To find out more information about our future Tuesday Folk People sessions, please sign up to our mailing list or keep an eye on our social media and website. Our next session will be a week from today at 8 p.m. See you then.